Hello, thank you for joining us today on Women Have Needs Too. Women have needs too. Right now, I need to build my self-confidence. So we are here today with Helen Vella, with Helen Vella and Associates, and we are going to talk about building self-confidence. Helen, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for asking me. I love it.
Such a
Great topic.
Yeah, it is a great topic because even somebody who has had self-confidence in the past, they may have lost some of it in the last couple of years. Do you think that is a pattern?
I think it's a pattern right now that I'm finding with clients that I've had for years that are successful business women, men, that sort of thing. And they're telling me that now going out into meeting in person, meeting people, things like that, their confidence, and they were surprised to find out that they had this issue. And it was strange also. I had the same thing. I went out and I thought, whoa, this is a bit weird being among people and doing different things. So yeah, it's definitely changed over the last couple of years for sure.
The crazy thing is that, we are beings that enjoy being around other people. And with the situation that we've, been in the last couple of years, we haven't had that contact. So where somebody might have been a strong communicator, if they have not been keeping up, and, it's kind of, I want to say that we're just out of practice,
Yeah,
right? We're just out of
yeah,
practice
yeah.
of having that. It's like, okay, when I had my baby, when I had my little boy, and he's not a little boy anymore, he'll be
No.
33 in a week, less than a week. But when I had him and I stayed home with him for whatever it was, a year and a half or whatever, I forgot words. I
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, I forgot words. And I forgot how much I enjoyed being at work and socializing and talking about something other than burping and, the color of baby poop, you know?
Exactly. Yeah,
and
exactly.
so, and so, now people have gotten out, and we do Zoom calls, we do Zoom meetings all the time, but it's not the same, is it, as being
No.
in public and
Mhm.
being one-on-one with somebody. And let's talk about what the difference is and how we overcome, those obstacles and like me, I don't think I've ever had a self-confidence issue. But I do feel like, I haven't been networking in public.
No.
Tomorrow will be one of the first times that I'm going to a networking event. I socialize, I go out to dinner, I do fun things, but I haven't been to a person to
Right.
person networking event in probably almost 2 years.
Exactly. And this is what's happening. Like you said, we do the Zoom calls and everything, but we're in our own environment, and which is where we feel safe and comfortable. And we're having a conversation with someone on video conferencing. Now, some of us have been doing video conferencing for years and years and years. So it's not the video conferencing, it's the video conferencing, you're still talking to people. However, if you feel that there's something that you don't want to participate, you turn your camera off, right? When
A
you go out
lot of
into
people do
public,
that.
right? A lot of people, I have gone to one particular networking on a weekly basis for the last 2 years, and this one particular person has never turned the camera on. They will not turn the camera on. So you can choose to do that. So people were camera shy, and then people learned how not to be camera shy. So
Mhm.
now it's to do with, if you want to do an in-depth thing, it's our communication styles.
Mhm.
So when we communicate, we're using all of our senses. We're using our eyes, our ears, our voices, and our energy and our body language. When we started wearing the masks, we lost one of our senses. And what I found out was that when we're talking to people and we're listening to people, we're actually not listening with our ears only. We're actually lip reading, right?
True.
And
That's
so
so true.
we lost that art of lip reading. So when people are saying, I don't understand you, I can't hear you, it's not that they couldn't hear, it's the fact that they lost another communication part of the conversation.
That's
So
true.
with
And
the
it's also
mask
a little
on,
muffled.
it is a little muffled, yes, but you lose this communication because you're not lip reading.
Right.
So now we're going out and we're trying to communicate with people with masks on that's a little bit muffled, that we're feeling we're talking to somebody with a mask, right?
Yeah.
So how did we grow up? We grew up with, cops and robbers, every time something happens bad, the person's usually wearing some sort of mask,
Oh, that's
right?
funny.
So this is how, and it's all unconscious. We don't know this, right? It's
Right.
all
Right.
unconscious going on. And so some of it may have something to do with that. Other parts of it is we've just lost the art of having people around us, so now it's like, oh, there's somebody over there. I was in a store the other day and this young lady student was behind me, but she was like this far behind me. So not only was she not socially distant, she was invading my personal space. So never
Right.
mind about the social distancing. It was like, how close do you want to be to me? And now we've lost the ability to turn around and say, can you back up a little bit? Because there's so much anger going on as well. So
Yeah.
our confidence levels are shaken in a lot of areas. We're scared to what's the word? Controversy. We're scared of controversy. We're scared of, not all of us, some people are scared of, well, if I say something, what's going to happen? Right? Are they going to hit me? Are they going to be angry with me? Are they going to pull a gun? What's going, you just look at the airlines and people on airplanes and things
Get
like this.
thrown off.
Exactly. So I think all of that unconsciously has something to do with self-confidence. And I was talking to a couple of my clients who have this issue, and my daughter she has no self-confident issues whatsoever. She is out there. But even she was saying that she gets a little anxious now and again with different situations. So I think, how do you overcome it? You have to be able to know that you are going to be okay. You have to know that you're in a safe place.
Right.
And you have to know that if we're going to move forward in our networking, like when you go to this networking event, I'd encourage you to observe also. Just
Oh, that would be
observe and
interesting.
yeah, and see if what we're saying you can see within that environment,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and how people respond to you, because a lot of people come up to you and then they back off. You
Mhm.
know, we're doing things like you said at the beginning. Human interaction is one of the things that we do to survive.
Mhm.
Survival was threatened, and we then stopped human interaction. We're now going into human interaction with trepidation. So, am I too close? Is this person going to do so? Can I speak to this person? Is this, and we're sort of doing a bit of this and a bit of this and a bit of that, and it can be overwhelming, because I don't know how to explain it exactly, but our senses and what we've known is not there. So we're learning a new way to communicate. We're learning a new way to be human beings
Mhm.
interacting with each other. What do you think?
So I agree. I agree because even I, who don't really have a self-confidence issue,
Yeah,
um,
me neither.
it's it's different. And I don't know if it's different because of me or if it's different because of the other person. But sometimes I feel like, yeah, I have a new comfort zone.
Right.
There's a new comfort zone, and it's time to get out of it, because I love being around people, and I love interacting with people, and I love meeting new people. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, but it's going to be interesting because I haven't done it in a long time, and I'm really
Right.
looking forward to it. But at the same time, I'm wondering, will I know the right questions? Will I, and I don't think I will, but there's some hesitancy there as well. So, I mean,
Whereas
I would say
previously, what would you have been thinking previously about going out tomorrow?
I wouldn't even been thinking about it.
Exactly my point. Exactly. So
Yeah.
now the things we were doing unconsciously and not thinking about it,
Yes.
we're now thinking in advance
What's
about
it going to be like?
living our
Even
lives.
even if you just ask,
Yeah.
what's it going to be like? We didn't ask that before. We knew what it was going to be
No.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just go out,
So,
you meet people, you do what you got to do, you know.
so I would say, whatever your, self-confidence issues are, because I'm always one to just attack it. But maybe that's not the right thing. I mean, I would say, step number one, do something that's going to get you out of that comfort zone. What would
And
you say?
just take a deep breath and know that you've done this before and draw on the memory cells from
Mm,
before. So I've done this before, I know how to do it. It's like riding a bike or driving a car or something like that. If you haven't done it for a while, you know how to do it and you do it automatically. So take a deep breath and go, I know how to do this. I've done
yes,
it before. Let me do what I did before. I know how to do this. Right. And like you said, coming out of your comfort zone, if that's your issue. Like a lot of people having stress attacks, anxiety attacks, and things like that. But yes, being able to recognize that you're safe, right? Because that's where we come from as human beings. We go into fight or flight, or we feel comfortable and safe.
mhm,
So telling yourself that you're safe, that it's okay, you
right,
know?
right. And I like that because, I mean, we're all going to be okay, right?
Yeah,
We're going to
yeah,
be okay. So if you've made the decision to go do something, just do it and know that you are going to be fine,
right.
right?
Exactly.
And
Hmm.
what is the worst that could happen?
Yeah, that's an old Dale Carnegie thing, or how to stop worrying and start living. About, I don't know if you've read the book, but that's one of the things to
Yes.
help you overcome
Long,
worry
probably 30
is
years
what
ago.
exactly, even more. But it's what is the worst thing it can happen, right? And also a lot of what we tend to have ourselves do is control.
Ah,
We want to be in control. There's a lot of control issues that go on in people's heads. So know that you are in control of your situation. So
yes,
what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, I'm in control. So the worst isn't going to happen because I'm controlling my situation and me.
I
So
love it.
I'm going to be safe and I'm going to be okay. So there's an old saying, but there's a saying, if you're worrying about something and you've got control, why are you worrying? If you're worrying about something and you don't have control, why are you worrying?
And I
Same
always
thing.
say, why worry? It's counterproductive, and it's not effective at all because worry is not productive at all. It doesn't
No,
accomplish anything except maybe cause you stress.
it causes you more stress because your self-talk makes the situation 10 times worse because you're imagining all the things that may or may not happen, and most of them don't happen. And in the meantime, your brain thinks they are happening, So you get the emotional response that goes with the brain thinking that this is happening.
Yes, and we're going to talk about the brain in a later episode. So
we are.
So two things. Worry. I love the topic of worry because I don't believe in worry because it gets you nowhere. I come from a mother who worried about everything. And I think that's why I worry about nothing. And so can we, I mean, because this kind of ties into self-confidence, I think. If you were to give like 3 tips about worry, what would those tips be? And I know I'm catching you like off guard, but
no, that's okay, because I do this every day with my clients. So one of the things is to like I just said, if you're in control of it, there isn't any point in worrying about it because you can control the situation. If you can't control the situation, then there isn't any point in worrying about it, which is easy to say. And I always say this to my clients because I look at their face and they go, yeah, that's easy for you to say. It is easy for me to say. However, there's ways to overcome it. So one is to put things in little compartments. So what you can do is, okay, this topic, this situation, right, I'm not going to think about that for now. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to put it in the back of my mind, and I'm going to think about it later. Then when you bring it back and you start thinking about it, look at the alternatives, right? Change all the negative chatter that you've got in your head about the situation into positive chatter, right? So, and then teach yourself these things. So when you start talking to yourself and the chatter goes on in your head and it's all negative, as soon as you start telling yourself it's into the positive and reframe it, you then get into the habit, and then your brain picks that up. And over time, what will happen is you'll go from negative to positive in a millisecond, as opposed to right now maybe spending days on end worrying about the situation. So that's one of the things, is to put it in the back of your mind for now and then deal with it. The other thing is, like you said, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen if you're going to go down the negative road? And then prepare yourself for the worst. But the thing is, it's all in your mind in the first place.
Can we flip that switch? Can we flip that switch and say, what are the positive things that can come out of this?
Right.
What are the positive things that could come out of this?
Exactly. So you always change it into a positive. And the techniques, one of the techniques that there's it's easy to tell people to change the thought process, but there is actually a brain thing that's going on. Okay. So when you go into worry and stress and anxiety, the amygdala, the hippocampus, all of this stuff starts to react and all the chemicals in your brain change. So you then go into fight or flight. You cannot be objective when you're in fight or flight because you're trying to survive. Because in the old days, we were surviving against bears and dinosaurs and all that sort of thing. Nowadays, we're fighting stress and anxiety, depression. So the fight or flight goes in under stress, anxiety, and depression. So you can't be objective. And that's why I'm saying you have to do something that's going to unstuck you. And there's several techniques that you can do that. The positive and the negative, yes, we've talked about. You can do that. And you have to do over and over again. Listening to positive affirmations, either on YouTube or, your podcast, whatever, listening to positive stuff all the time. But you have to, one of the ways, it's a quick way to do it, is you stop and you breathe. Because what happens is we breathe from here and not from down here when we're stressed. And it's too quick. So you stop and you take a deep breath. And if you take a deep breath in through your mouth, and out through your nose, it's the opposite to how you normally breathe.
Yes.
So it then gives the brain time to reset. Now, this can be done in a minute. It can be done in 30 seconds. So you just breathe slowly in through your mouth, out through your nose. Now, you can do this in any sort of stressful situation, whether you're being interviewed whether you're at a networking event, whether you're with your boss in front of you, because nobody sees you breathe.
Yeah.
So you can do this technique anywhere, anytime, right? So just in through your mouth, out through your nose. It settles everything down. It releases things. Now look at your challenge, your problem, what you're worrying about, and let's reframe it.
It's
And that,
so true. This is the second time the breathing exercise has come up this week in an interview, and it's very interesting. And okay, let's explain why it works. Why does the breathing exercise work? Is it because when you're breathing, your brain can't think of anything else if you're thinking about the breath coming in and the breath going out? Is that what it is? Is that the reset?
it's one of the things. The other thing is it changes the chemical structure in your brain, right? So what happens is when we get stuck, we want to get unstuck. So this helps get it unstuck. It's one of the techniques, okay? Now, it may get you unstuck for a few hours, and then if you start again, you're going to go back to the same place. So it's a technique that you can use all the time. Now, when I do it with my clients, there's a whole technique that goes with it. This is just a quick way to do it for now, but there's breath work in itself is an actual therapy that is used. So the breath work, there's alpha, beta, delta. What's the other one? Alpha, beta, delta.
Gamma.
That's it. So these are all the different parts of your brain. So what this does is take you from one to the other. And I don't have my chart in front of me because I didn't know we were going to talk about breath work, but I don't have my chart in front of me. No, exactly. But there is an actual, and the breath work does help the brain reset itself. But the quick way to do it, is in through your mouth, out through your nose. And you do that for a few seconds. So you hold your breath for a couple of seconds, then you release it for a couple of seconds. So you're doing things slowly. And yes, because you're focusing on that, your brain resets itself.
Love it.
And then you can go back to what it is and make a decision. The other thing to do is, because we're sedentary a lot of the time, so this would be my third thing, is to change your physiology. So instead of if you're standing, sit down. If you're sitting, stand up. So stand up, do some stretches, move your arms, do some stretching, do some breathing. And that also helps you reset too. So changing your physiology.
I hadn't heard that one before.
Yeah, changing your physiology works a lot.
I know if you're inside, it's good to go outside and get a change of scenery, and just help yourself get refocused, do that and then come back in. But I feel like subconsciously I take a deep breath and blow out, when I start feeling like I've got a lot going on, and I'm like, just take a breather. And it's so funny because that term comes from a real place. So it's time to take a breather.
Exactly. So we naturally know what to do. There's lots of things that we do naturally, like you just said, take a breather, this sort of thing. And I use emotional freedom techniques a lot in the energy work when I'm with my clients, which is, tapping, which we go into another time. Right. But we do that naturally also. If we get shot, we go, oh, or if we've got a headache, we go, oh. Mm-hmm. And these are all the points that we use for releasing depression, anxiety. So there's a lot of things that we do as human beings naturally to help ourselves heal. Instinctively, instinctive, absolutely. And over the last couple of years, we've lost a lot of our instincts also. Because we
haven't had to deal with a lot of stuff. I mean, I shouldn't say that, because a lot of people have had, stress because of the pandemic, but
of course, but it's like even driving, how many of us haven't driven far?
A couple trips, down, for a few hours, 2 or 3 hours.
Exactly. All the cars have got so much.
I have a 1.5 hour trip that I take. I guess I shouldn't say that, but I don't get up and go to work every day like you did before. Driving traffic is different.
I know. So people's cars have got all this mileage on that doesn't use. how much miles have you done this year? Oh, maybe 5,000. And you're registered to do 20,000 miles a year. So
Right?
even driving, when we don't, for your insurance, you do 15, 20,000 miles a year, right? You know, our car's 3 years old almost. No, it's 2 years old. It
Yeah,
hasn't got, it's just over 10,000 miles on it in 2 years.
crazy. I would be
So,
very interested to see the amount of accidents in the last year and a half and see how it
mm,
compares to the previous last,
I bet they're more because we're less aware,
Oh, that might be true. Well,
you know?
Helen, you have given some great tips for getting over some self-confidence issues that we may be trying to overcome in this period of getting back out there and doing things. And self-confidence issues were always, self-confidence was always an issue in the past for different people. But now I think it's a larger amount of people because now it's getting to the people who already had self-confidence. Now they're just trying to get back out there and do things. So I think
Exactly.
we've given some people some good tips on just getting back out there and, go inside and know who you are, and know that you're ready to get out. And like you said, am I not in control of it or am I in control of it? Either way, you don't need to worry about it.
Exactly. Absolutely 100%. Yes, you're dead right. Worry is a waste of time, Linda. You're dead
Wasted.
right.
Well, thank you so
Waste
much.
of
And
time.
thank you, viewers. Women have needs too. Right now, I need to regain that self-confidence and get out there and do the things that I am meant to do. Have a great day. Thank you, Helen, so much. You always have
Thank you
wonderful
so
words
much.
of wisdom and
Thank you.
advice and good tips. So have a great day, everybody. Stay inspired and stay empowered.